Interesting. I just saw that. Okay, leave one end of the, okay, so yeah, 3 lines. We include extra internal lines in order to do this. In this way, draw all possible diagrams that are topologically inequivalent. On each incoming line, draw an arrow pointing towards the vertex. On each outgoing line, draw an arrow pointing away from the vertex. On each internal line, draw an arrow with an arbitrary direction. Did we miss the diagrams, or are they after? Maybe they're after. Yeah, they're there. Okay. On each incoming line, oh, I just did that. Assign each line its own forward momentum. The forward momentum of the external line should be the forward momentum of the corresponding particles. So here we are. Here are the diagrams that we have. We have arrows coming in, and then we have the arrows going arbitrarily going this way, which will dictate the sign of the propagator. And then we have the arrows going out for the external line. So they goes in, out, propagator. In, propagator, out. Okay. These are the tree level diagrams. This is the S, T, and U channel diagrams, and I'm pretty sure those are the mantle stem diagrams, where this propagator is what exists in the bottom of our, let me show you, right here. This propagator is what exists right here. So each of these is associated with the graph of each of these. This is what's called the mantle stem variable, I think, the S, T, and U. And then these are the diagrams associated with that. And when you hear me talk about Nima Arkani Hamad's brilliant new work about redoing all of this in another way, he really focuses a ton of emphasis on the mantle stem variables. That's like the goal. And like, I guess that's a very string theory thing to do, is what my advisor said, is to focus very heavily on building a theory out of the mantle stem variables. But I don't know 100%. That's just what my advisor said. But if you get a chance and you know all this stuff and you have some time to kill and you want to learn the Nima Arkani Hamad stuff, I think it's on YouTube on the Harvard stuff, because that's where he taught it like last fall, 2019. But it's really, really good. I made it through like the first 5, but I needed to learn this first, I think, before I revisited it. So think of the forward momentum as flowing along the arrows to conserve forward momentum at each vertex. For a tree diagram, this fixes the momentum on all internal lines. The value of a diagram consists of the following factors. For each external line, a 1. And notice now, we don't have what we had before, which was some delta function for each, some source times some delta function for the propagator or whatnot. As far as I know, 5.4 has no real use, and I've read also that it might be somehow dual to a free theory of some kind, but I forget the details. Okay, cool, interesting. I thought I heard someone say at some point that there was some use for it in the Higgs, and as 4 Higgs fields, but I don't, as like a self-interacting Higgs or something like that. I don't know, and I have no idea what the Higgs is. I'm not there yet. So, okay. For each internal line, you have a momentum now. So now, notice the difference between the rules have changed. Our rules from our rough thing, where we had the sources and then we had these 2 things look like both like propagators, and then the vertex is easier too. Now we don't even have to worry about integrating over that dx. I did hear a little bit of someone else said something about Shrednicki with this too, but I'm gonna pay it no mind because I don't know enough about it to know what they were talking about. This looks good to me, so. But these are easier. These are so much easier than what we had before, than the diagrams that we talked about before. Okay, and then we get back into some normalization stuff down here, some renormalization stuff, but the rest is pretty easy. A diagram with L closed loops will have L internal momenta, so we can do some loops, and then we just have to add some terms to it. A loop diagram may have some leftover symmetry factors, so we have to remember those symmetry factors and account for those. The tree diagrams are the lowest order of perturbation, so that's the easiest thing for us to do, but we should definitely consider some of the loops because they could be lower, or they could be low enough to have some impact. And if you want, the more precise you want your measurement, the more loops and stuff you want to do, the higher the perturbation you want to go, or the higher order of perturbation you want to go before you call it off. And then include diagrams with counter-term vertices. So here comes that renormalization stuff. Again, we're going to sprinkle these different diagrams, or these different vertices, into the middle of the propagators, which for us, we only have 3 propagators, so that makes it a little bit easier. And then we can include those as extra diagram contributions. The value of I, and there's that squiggle T, that scattering matrix element, is given by a sum over the values of these diagrams. So this is for the two particle scattering process, 2 in, 2 out. The 3 tree diagrams resulting from from these are shown here, and that's what they look like. So now these are legitimate Feynman diagrams, where all we have to do is take these rules and plug them in once we get these diagrams, and then we'll come back to this every single time, right? That's it. Straightforward. Now that's part of the scattering diagram matrix. That's it. That's chapter 10. Congratulations. Path integration part 8. Dunzo. Do I have clap? Yay! We did it. Straightforward. Well, no, listen, again, I'm very careful about when I say it's straightforward. This is straightforward. Just this part. I'm always very careful to make sure that when I say it's straightforward, I literally mean it's straightforward. This is it.
Do you have clap?
Look.
Do you?
I do have clap. You look at the diagram, you write the diagram. You say, I want 2 in and 2 out. So for each of these, you write 2 particles in, 2 particles out. Then you connect them with a propagator for tree level diagrams. Then all you have to do is just add the stuff given here. This is very, very straightforward. Just for each vertex, plug in one of these. For each propagator, plug in one of these. For each external line, plug in one. Natural units, baby. Then if you want loops, you have to add some extra stuff, right? Then if you want to have a renormalized theory, you want the counter term, so you add extra vertices. But nothing really is going crazy here. You're just adding a couple more terms to it. It is relatively straightforward. I appreciate the reminder. Have not worked through this for a long time. Of course. For Anubis' sake. I like how Anubis... Reading the rules is relatively straightforward. I do think reading the rules is relatively straightforward. It's literally just plug in stuff. It's such a beautiful thing. And I'm glad you liked it, Admiral Entropy. Now, next week, we're gonna go backwards. We're gonna revisit the LSZ so that we can maybe just do some random calculations. That'll be the first of the mathematical applications. I think that'll be part 9. I think we're gonna go till 10. Part 10, I'm not sure I'll be able to do the philosophical implications anymore, unfortunately. But maybe I can try to spearhead it myself, or maybe I can try to find an expert who would be willing to help me understand some of the philosophy behind the path integration and what it means. Anybody know Sean Carroll?